Old Fitzgerald, the original Pappy Van Winkle. Is that true? Well, let's find out in this episode of Whiskies. So in this episode of Whiskies, we are going to review the Old Fitzgerald Bottled and Bond 7-year, one of the new additions to the Old Fitzgerald family. What I like about the Old Fitzgerald bottle, now this one looks a little different than the famous decanter bottle, the one that was invented back in 1951, when they first installed the decanter bottle. Basically, once you finish the whiskey, you'll still have something nice to put other whiskey in. This is still a nice bottle too as well, but this is what the decanters look like here. But this is how the 7-year looks, which is still really nice. But getting to a little bit of the history of this, Old Fitzgerald, the origin of it started in 1884, but then eventually Pappy Van Winkle came on board and he started to be heavily involved in the production and then really the evolution of the Old Fitzgerald, because this was changed to a wheated mash bill. And who was famous for wheated mash bill? Of course, Pappy Van Winkle. With the Van Winkle lineup, with the Weller, Pappy Van Winkle had a heavily imprint on this particular whiskey. I believe in 1999, Heaven Hill bought Old Fitzgerald from the old Stitzel Weller once it closed down. And then now they are producing Old Fitzgerald, and it's still an incredible whiskey, but the influence comes from Pappy Van Winkle. Of course, in Prohibition time, the Bottled and Bond Act was heavily available. Whiskey was created only for medicinal purposes. Anything other than that was considered illegal. So you had the bootleggers, right? But Old Fitzgerald was able to be produced under the Bottled and Bond Act, which is 100 proof. It has to be aged at least 4 years, at least 51% corn, then wheat in this one, or rye, and then malted barley. And so they fell with all in those categories. And so they were able to ride all the way through the Prohibition. So this is one of the really older whiskeys throughout whiskey history. And that's why people absolutely love it. They hunt it. They search for it. And even this one is extremely hard to find. It's not readily available as of yet, but the goal is for it to be just so. It's supposed to be the distant cousin or the close cousin of the other Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond 7-year, which we'll put right here. Readily available in stores now. This one is going to be that way probably in the next years to come. It is a little scarce right now. The way I take it, they kind of want the public to get a taste for it, to hunt for it. So when they see it, they finally get it, they'll be excited to grab it. And so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's find out how it tastes. If it's worth the hunt, we'll get into that now. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing we see here is this nice, beautiful color, a golden color there, a little golden amber, right? So the nose on this, first thing I get is like some vanilla that comes through. It's not really a potent nose. You got a little berry in there, maybe some baked bread or honey biscuits.
These homemade biscuits are buttery, soft and fluffy.
Smells very good. Yes, it's a good, very good nose. But how does it taste? That's what matters the most. What's more important to you, the taste of the nose? Well, of course, the taste. So let's get into the taste. That's really good. That's very good. So, believe it or not, the first thing you get is like a wave of honey that comes on the tip of that tongue. And then there's some barrel char that almost get like a peach cobbler type of flavor in there. So you get peach cobbler, honey, barrel char, and maybe, let's see here. Let's go back. Yeah. Honey, peach cobbler, oak, a little char, maybe a hint of vanilla that comes through from the nose to the palate. But it's a very soft whiskey, and that's where the wheat comes in play. See, wheat and corn really works together. It gives you that soft, sweet note. And that's why this is a sweet forward whiskey. So if you enjoy whiskey that's sweet forward, then you will absolutely love this one. If you enjoy whiskey that is maybe spicy forward, then the other Heaven Hill may be your jam. This one is definitely, in my opinion, worth the hunt for two reasons. Well, what's inside it is very good. It's very delicious, like the notes that we just mentioned, but also the decanter. So once you finish the bottle, look at such a beautiful bottle it is. You can use this for an infinity bottle, which we're going to discuss on a later episode. I want to review some of the infinity bottles that I've created and let you guys know how they taste and kind of discuss it. But this one will make a really, really nice decanter for your whiskey to hold. So yeah, I enjoy it. I definitely say it's worth the hunt. And if you can't find it, don't worry. It's not necessarily worth spending way over MSRP. Now, MSRP and close to MSRP is definitely worth it. I believe it runs from 65 to 69 bucks. You want to pay $10 or more for it, I totally get it. Pay a little bit more for that because you know you want it. I totally understand. But it's definitely worth the juice in the bottle. I'll say that much. So this is a derivation of the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, the 7-year. I know they got the 8-year, they got the 9-year. I believe they have an 11, 13, 17, 18, and 19, I believe. And they got the special, the one that came out last year that everyone's going crazy about. But definitely a delicious sip. Is it the best thing I've ever had? No, but it is a good rendition. It reminds me a lot of, and I'll have to, let me see if I can find it. Well, I know I can find this up here. Let me show you the bottle. It reminds me a lot of this one. This wheated whiskey that comes from Bardstown. I'll say that the Bardstown, in my opinion, maybe just a little bit better. So if you can't find this one, and if you're only in it for a good sip, to me, this one is way better. It's way better. You get more notes in there. But one thing about this one will come, it's something about the bottle that just brings you in. So if you're in it for the nice bottle, because the juice is just as good too, but this one is just a little bit better because it's a little bit more going on in it, and it's a little bit more viscous. The finish is a little bit stronger, but the wheat profiles are very similar, especially once this one opens up. Once this opens up, oh man, it's incredible. So that's my opinion. Hope you enjoy this episode of Whiskey. And like we always say, please always drink moderately and responsibly. Y'all have a good day. Yeah, man, that's good, man. That's good.